The following is a special presentation of ESPN on ABC.
Something rare and special in Clemson tonight. They've waited forever for this event, for the Fighting Irish to return. The faithful are undeterred, their spirits undampened by days of rain and flooding downstate. A heavier deluge is due here later. Two playoff contenders must step forward and prove it right now. Notre Dame versus Clemson. Death Valley is alive and electric.
The moment is here. A clash of two teams who haven't faced one another for nearly 40 years.
Leave it all on the field. Have no regrets. No regrets.
Tonight, unsullied by defeat, they gather in Death Valley, and the implications are...
This is an opportunity for a lifetime to make a statement, to take this football team serious.
4 weeks in, the number 6 Notre Dame Fighting Irish are still struggling to find their identity. And tonight, they place their faith in the hands of a freshman, facing a Clemson Tiger squad playing lights out when the lights are on.
Our team believes they got heart. So I told them, you got greatness in you, but you got to make a decision to be great.
Number 12 in the rankings, number 1 in the Valley of Death. Two teams whose seasons will be defined. With their rankings and pride on the line, tonight is bound to be...
Welcome to a special Saturday Night Football on ABC, presented by Wells Fargo. And this presentation of the ACC on ESPN. A heavily anticipated collision of two top 12 teams, the undefeated 6th-ranked Fighting Irish of Notre Dame and the 12th-ranked Clemson Tigers. And welcome, Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, Heather Cox will join us. It is hard to overstate, Kirk, the energy, the anticipation for this game. Joe Montana was the hero the only other time Notre Dame came here. It's been that long. There's so many elements tonight, including the elements. The rain started to come down, and it's supposed to get much worse in a while here.
You know, it's something to keep an eye on, obviously. We're hearing maybe the second half it could get really nasty. For now, it's raining. As you can see, that front is moving this way. But at the same time, Chris, I think early it's about your footing. It's about taking care of the football, especially with this kind of atmosphere. Who's going to make a mistake early, and is the weather going to contribute to that? We'll wait and see.
Both quarterbacks say they can handle the weather. You got the two Deshaun's. You know about Watson, but Deshaun Kaiser came in when Malik Zaire went down at Virginia. He was the hero. He's had 2 home wins, but this is a little different, isn't it?
Yeah, and I really think Notre Dame as a group's been one of the most resilient teams in college football in this first month. And a lot of that has to do with the way Deshaun Kaiser stepped up in that game in Charlottesville. They're trailing when he came in. Really has never taken a meaningful snap. And Brian Kelly told us himself he didn't know how he would respond. He converts on a 4th down on a scramble, and then this pass to Will Fuller for the touchdown, and they're able to get out of there with a win. It's going to be different tonight. I think he needs to rely on C.J. Prosise, one of the most gifted running backs to start this season so far in college football. Take some of the pressure off him. I think Brian Kelly goes for that high percentage throws just to kind of settle him in, but make no mistake, at some point, they're going downfield because that's who they have become as an offense with him at quarterback.
You know, Prosise, 600 yards in 4 games. No Irish back has ever had more in the first 4, but it's tough to run on Clemson. Now, what about Deshaun Watson? It's been a quiet start statistically for him. You know, a couple of very easy games and then a road win at Louisville.
He is one of the more gifted young quarterbacks that I've watched in a really long time, and it's because he just sees the field. He played in the same offense when he was in high school, so I think his learning curve was very quick, and it allowed him to come into this season last year there and settle in. Now, he had an injury, and I think the big thing is now is he brings all three things that you're looking for in any quarterback running any system, and that starts with an awareness. When you run a tempo offense, it's not, look how calm he is. It's nice to have a quarterback see the field, make quick decisions, and be able to get the ball out quickly. The second thing after awareness is decision making. Any quarterback needs to be able to make good decisions, and obviously Deshaun, that's a real strength of his as he works to find the open man. And the last thing is the accuracy. Now, he hasn't shown it yet the way he did last year, but I know he's anxious to have an opportunity tonight against this Notre Dame defense. And I really feel personally, when you look at this game from the XO standpoint, I think it could be hard for them to run their tailback, Wayne Gallman, in this game because Notre Dame is so gifted in the front seven. I think you may see Deshaun Watson run the football a little bit more and then try to find matchups on the perimeter to his liking to try to make some big plays in the pass game.
Yeah, they got some gifted skill players on the edge, don't they? The Irish defense, for the most part, has been really stout, except for the occasional lapse and letdown. They'll be on guard tonight for this big plays.
And that's exactly what you want to do. You want to show enough window dressing, different formations, run the football. And Deshaun Watson had an ACL surgery in December. They've been protecting him. Tonight, I think they'll turn him loose. You mix in some of that, and then you take your shots downfield, see if you can hit a big one.
Clemson, very tough at home. Irish, not a great road team, but it's a toss-up game, virtual toss-up tonight here in Death Valley.
The real Death Valley is once again the center of the college football universe.
You're going to have to give everything that you have.
This game's going to be a dogfight.
Notre Dame or the ACC look to be vying for that fourth playoff spot.
This game screams playoff implications.
I couldn't get Jesus tickets, and that's the truth. This is a tough ticket.
I think Notre Dame gets it done, and they continue to move forward.
Leave it all on the field. Have no regrets.
Welcome to the Dr. Pepper Championship Drive Game of the Week.
Tiger Stadium awaits, and the Clemson Tigers take a very short but intense bus ride from the locker room on the west side around to the east, Mount Clemson and Howard's Rock. Some players very quiet, some rowdy. And that rock from Death Valley, California, brought here almost a half-century ago and placed to the top of the hill. One of the most electric rituals in sports.
I think this is one of the more anticipated entries in the country. These fans just wait for this all week for the Tigers to come running down that hill.
They will hear Tiger Rag. They will carefully descend this hill on a sloppy evening. Now, nobody makes a grander entrance than the Tigers in Death Valley. Perhaps more caution on the descent with a wet field than we're used to seeing, Kirk.
Some guys taking their time, and others still they can't help the emotion coming down that hill.
Now can the Tigers be fueled, use this energy? The Irish have not been a great road team. The win we talked about at Virginia snapped a streak of 5 straight losses on the road. So there's something for this Notre Dame team to prove.
And yet at the same time, it's interesting, Brian Kelly this week using the Florida State game in Tallahassee last year in a game that they competed and they had a chance to win. It came down to that one play, and he felt just that experience in a tough environment in a similar ACC matchup. He felt that that was enough to be able to tell his team, hey, we can win in these kind of games, not to mention the LSU game and their bowl game away from their home stadium.
We talked about the two Deshaun's, born 4 months apart. Kaiser there and Watson are buddies from their high school days at the Elite 11 quarterback camp. More on that as it unfolds. The intrepid and always prepared Heather Cox is on the sidelines with Brian Kelly. Heather?
Chris, thanks so much, Coach. We talked about the difficulty preparing for this environment, especially with an inexperienced quarterback. What have you seen today leading up to this moment that gives you confidence in Deshaun Kaiser?
Well, it wasn't very loud up to this moment, so we'll see what happens. But, you know, he's a pretty poised kid. He's a mature kid. He knows what to expect. He's going to have to go in there and command the offense because it's not going to get any quieter out here. So his play will help. Obviously, if he plays well, we'll keep it quiet, but, you know, he knows what he's in for.
And, Coach Kelly, we knew this weather was coming. You guys practiced with wet footballs all week, but how does this weather affect the way that you call this game?
Well, I mean, obviously the field conditions are pretty good right now, so we'll run our offense. We may have to go underneath center a little bit more. Be careful. You got to take care of the football in these conditions.
Coach, thank you so much for your time. And guys, certainly with this inclement weather comes some changes down here on the field. Both teams will go to half-inch long spikes, the maximum allowed by the NCAA. Also, both teams are using 36 game balls. They checked in 3 times more than they typically use the 12 on a dry day. Now, the officials will try to change out the ball after every play that will, of course, get wet and heavy. In fact, Clemson quarterback Deshaun Watson told me his hands are so big that if he grips it too much, it will slide out. So in weather like this, he has to use fingertip pressure to have success.
Dabo Swinney took his team, Heather, indoors to practice, but they did water down the footballs, Kirk, to give a simulation of these conditions if you can in practice.
Yeah, and just by dumping a dry ball into a bucket over the course of an hour and a half practice does not, it's a good attempt by both these teams, but it's not going to prepare you for what you're going to see tonight on this natural surface.
Irish won the toss to first, so Clemson will get the football, and Tyler Newsom, who doubles as the punter, will kick it off to begin this North versus South clash here in Clemson. Short kick, and the fine receiver Artavis Scott from the 5 has a crease and breaks out across the 35. So Deshaun Watson, the preseason ACC Player of the Year, goes to work right now.
It's important for both these quarterbacks to settle in, and that's the play callers on both sides know that. With the weather like this, the emotion, Deshaun Watson typically stays very calm. That's his, you know, the trademark on him, even though he's very young, is only a sophomore. But I look for them also to take some chances on this first possession if they get the opportunities. We talked in the open, Chris, Notre Dame's been giving up some big plays, and Clemson wants to try to take advantage of that despite the weather.
Look at this, Kirk. First play, empty backfield and 5 receivers for Watson. And he takes off up the middle. Watson breaking free across midfield, flashing the speed down the sidelines and driven out. Good call, Coach Herbstreit.
Yeah, we talked about him in the open about running the football. It could be a tough night to run the ball, but look at the numbers. There's no linebackers. By having the 5 receivers out wide, it left nobody in the middle. The middle linebacker, Joe Schmidt, brought a blitz from the right, but they got to the left and ended up showing what he can do. His knee is healthy. They told us they were going to turn him loose, and on the very first play, a huge gain for Deshaun Watson.
38 yards. Now it's Dahlman, the hard-running, steady tailback who muscles down to the 20-yard line. Gallman is a sophomore from Georgia who just doesn't quit on runs.
No, and I tell you, the footing and the traction in the trenches. We've watched games, you and I, all afternoon, and one of the things that came up was watching the linemen. You think about the receivers and the quarterback and the ball, but it's really the linemen and being able to get leverage and pushing a 300-pound body and trying to get it to go where you want it to go. The advantage you would think would be Notre Dame.
Watson's got it. And he just throws it away. It's an offensive line that has no starters back from last year. Ryan Norton, their center, was the only returning starter, but he has an MCL sprain. So there's a couple of veterans out there, a couple of young guys, but no second-year starters.
No, and I think because of that, they rely on tempo to be an equalizer. This is a similar offense that you see when you watch Auburn, or it's a similar offense that you see when you watch Ole Miss. They rely on the tempo and some of the trickery to be able to be kind of offset the athleticism and the speed and size of a defense. The guy to watch is Sheldon Day on the defensive line, number 91.
Scott's in the backfield on 3rd and 5 when they flip it to him in the flat that he had to spin around, makes a man miss, gets a first down and dives to the 12-yard line.
It's kind of an example right there of what they asked from their offensive linemen on a screen pass out there. They're just trying to get in the way. There wasn't anybody who came up with a big block, but they shielded the Notre Dame defense from him. And the athletic video, Scott gets the first.
And now Gallman takes a handoff on 1st down, gets the edge and dives down near the 4-yard line. Clemson executing well on this first possession in the rain.
No doubt about it, and some good blocks up to the top. Area that they feel they have got to dominate. Forget about in the trenches, out on the perimeter. Time Peak, the receiver, and Leggett, the tight end, were flexed out to the top of your screen and both picked up nice blocks.
They need 2 on 2nd down. Watson had trouble collecting this snap. It was an awkward handoff to Gallman, who loses a yard as number 91, Sheldon Day, the All-American.
Yeah, and he's going to be in the backfield the entire game, and Clemson realizes that. Very fortunate to somehow secure this football and then get it into the hands of Gallman. Boy, that was a great job there by Watson to be able to get his hands on the football, slippery football, and get into the hands as Sheldon Day got penetration.
Another 3rd down after the loss. They need 4. Watson rolls out, flips it in the flat. Catch me. Jordan Leggett dives for a touchdown.
It's the way you get a crowd into this football game. Nice job of, then we talked about recognizing things, awareness. He saw the blitz. They got a one-on-one opportunity. The linebacker could not get out in time to be able to make the play. The safety, I beg your pardon, Shoemate, could not get out in time. He was kind of rubbed or screened. He couldn't get out in man-to-man coverage, and Leggett is all alone.
So a 64-yard drive. As Greg Hugel, the freshman kicker, makes it 7-0. An Irish defense that had been very fast starting, Kirk. That had 4 straight 3-and-outs. Give up a touchdown here.
Watch the blitz coming from here. Here's the man who's going to get caught up in traffic, Elijah Shoemate. Watch him try to slide, gets over there. One of the receivers got in his way, slowed him down just enough to free up Leggett into the flat, and Watson found him for the touchdown.
Tigers convert a couple 3rd downs on their first possession. Watson to Leggett for a short touchdown pass. Now DeShone Kizer, the young Notre Dame quarterback, will get his first possession already down a touch. Eamon Lakeup, the kicker from last year, comes off suspension. His first action, he'll boot it away. Amir Carlisle, Irish dangerous receiver, takes it at the 5. Has to find some space and kind of tiptoes out to the 25-yard line. So DeShone Kizer, a sophomore, a talented 3-sport athlete at Toledo Central Catholic.
Yeah, 6'4", 230. I think as Brian Kelly watches his every game, he learns more and more about what he can do and what he's maybe not quite comfortable with. But I think Brian Kelly over the years has worked with different types of quarterbacks. Experience, drop back, the way Kizer is, athletic, and he's adjusted his scheme to who Kizer is. More of a drop back quarterback, more of a distributor.
He had 1 career pass before that Virginia game. And no feed, C.J. Procise, who bounces off traffic but cannot get away from Travis Blanks.
Let's take a look at tonight's Chick-fil-A impact players for Notre Dame on offense. We've talked all night here so far about C.J. Procise and what a great start he is off to. He needs to be able to get on track to take some of the pressure off. Will Fuller, the big playmaker on the outside, number 7. B.J. Goodson for Clemson, middle linebacker's got to be a leader, and Mackenzie Alexander, number 2.
Procise again, nowhere to run as the Tigers swarm the middle. It'll be 3rd and long.
They just come right into the interior, right in this area right here. They're coming from the outside as well. They're just closed in. They realize that they need to zero in right now on this running game. It's wet. You're on the road. Clemson just went up 7-0. You're trying to ease yourself in, and Brent Venables has turned his defense loose these first 2 plays.
Number 1 defense last year on 3rd down. Kaiser needs 15. Cannot find anybody. Keeps the play alive. Shows elusiveness. They'll be dropped 10 yards short of the marker.
Well, this is what Kaiser's going to get tonight, Chris, from Brent Venables if they get him to 3rd and long. He showed 5 as if he's going to pressure blitz 5, and at the snap of the ball, 2 of those 5 dropped. And next thing you know, he's only rushing 3 athletic guys, but he has 8 guys in coverage. Kaiser had nowhere to go with the football and had to just eat it and try to pick up what he could.
Tyler Newsome, the punter for the Irish, off to a terrific start, averaging 47 yards a kick. This is not a good one, though. Off the side of his foot, and they'll spot this ball back in Notre Dame territory. They're still marching down that sideline to the 40.
Wow.
So Newsome, who'd been rock solid, 52 yards a punt last week, shakes one for 15. Clemson back in business, up a touch.
Saturday Night Football, presented by Wells Fargo. Brought to you by United Airlines, the world's most flyer-friendly airline. United, fly the friendly skies. Wells Fargo, on your phone, online, on the go. Wells Fargo makes it easy to get banking done. And Nissan, premier partner of the Heisman Trophy.
And we welcome a regular guest, the National Championship Trophy presented by Dr. Pepper, awarded on January 11th in Glendale. Of course, the semifinals New Year's Eve in Dallas and in Miami. The Irish defense had only allowed 6 points in the first quarter this season, a touchdown by UMass on the final play of the quarter. They're used to getting off the field quickly. Now they're under some pressure here, Kirk. Clemson takes over after the shank at the 40.
Well, Clemson deserves a lot of credit for the way they started the game with that opening drive, but Notre Dame has got to settle in. They need somebody to make a big play here to kind of get the momentum swaying the other way.
You know, Gallman is stopped immediately as Jalon Smith, the freaky all-world linebacker, jumped in the hole.
We're talking about somebody's got to make a play. You would think Jalon Smith, number 9, Sheldon Day, 91, and then you have Joe Schmidt, the leader, kind of the glue of the defense, 38. Those are their playmakers up front.
Smith forced a couple of fumbles against Georgia Tech that loomed very big in that Irish home field win. On 2nd and 10, play action. Watson fires downfield. Catch made. Hunter Renfrow, the sure-handed possession receiver, beat Kavari Russell.
Boy, the thing that stood out to me in these conditions is he gets outside, they're blitzing him, but how about the hands of Renfrow in these conditions? High points the ball and makes the catch in front of Russell.
24 yards puts the Tigers right back in the red zone, and Watson, initial traffic inside, tries to bounce it and does dive forward for positive yardage. Jalon Smith grabbed him.
When you see him do that, again, we talked about his awareness and understanding of the offense. They'll give him, like almost any offense in college football today, they give him alerts. They'll give him a run and a pass on the same play. And if you just have 4 down linemen and 1 linebacker in that box area, he's going to more than likely pull it down himself and run the football. That's where the quarterback run game, which hasn't been a big part of Clemson's attack these first 3 games, tonight it will be on display, and it's to give them the numbers advantage.
I thought maybe they might take the tempo down a bit with the wet football. Not so far. Watson, slant. Scott fights free and walks in. A 1-2 punch from the Tigers. And the Irish on the ropes early. Well, Deshaun Watson is razor sharp distributing the ball, and Clemson quickly up a couple of touchdowns.
I think this is the Deshaun Watson that Clemson fans saw a lot last year of, and he hasn't quite played that way, and especially in their game a couple Thursdays ago against Louisville. But here's just recognition, soft coverage, be able to get after a low snap balls right on the money that gives Scott a chance to protect himself, keep his feet to be able to get into the end zone. But it's the timing and awareness by Watson that was superior.
Tigers have run 11 plays and have 14 points. So Clemson scoring in its first 2 possessions, sandwiched around a 3-and-out for the Irish. It's 14-0 quickly here. Like up to C.J. Sanders at the 3. He's free. Sanders finally wrestled out at midfield, so good field position for the Irish, but Brian Kelly and his young quarterback down 2 touchdowns. What now?
Well, first he's thankful that he got a huge return here by Sanders, who took one to the house last week against UMass and has tremendous speed for a true freshman and has a great feel to how to make plays in the open space. Looked like potentially face mask, but a good no call. And you're right. Now you've got to settle down, and I think the big thing is, in this situation, you usually like to turn to your guy. Who's my go-to guy? Your go-to guy is C.J. Prosise and Will Fuller. You've got to be able to get them going here, get a first down, and kind of just stop the bleeding and just be able to settle into your game plan.
First down attempt for Kaiser, delivers near side. The catch is made by Amir Carlisle. He's wrestled out of bounds. To Cassidy Hubbard for an update in the studio.
The Dr. Pepper Championship Drive update. Number 3 Ole Miss is serious trouble. Will Greer with his 4th TD pass of the half. This one to Antonio Callaway. You know, Florida's been dealing with the flu all week, but it's Ole Miss fans probably feeling sick right now. Rebels down 25-0 on ESPN.
Wow. Swamp is alive, and so is Death Valley. Prosise, just no running room so far. Shaq Lawson, the junior, next great defensive lineman at Clemson on the tackle.
And a guy to keep an eye on tonight. He'll be matched up a lot with the All-American Ronnie Stanley, the left tackle from Notre Dame. But again, early in this game, that Clemson defensive line, all new starters this year, getting after that Notre Dame offensive line.
Irish need 6 on 3rd. Kaiser, well protected, delivers a strike, and Chris Brown makes a first down catch inside the 40. Brown, the senior from here in South Carolina.
2 things that stood out to me. Number 1, the offensive line picks up pretty exotic look. There's some pressure, but they pick it up. They give him time. And the other thing is he felt that pressure, but he didn't allow it to affect his vision. He settled in, showed some composure, and distribute that football for a first down.
And Lawson, the defensive end, downfield to make the tackle there. Kaiser wrestled down to the backfield by Mr. Lawson, who can rush the passer. He can create mayhem. He's strong against the run. He's a sort of a do-it-all defensive lineman.
And Kaiser on his zone read here gets confused. He's actually reading Shaq Lawson right here. He kind of gives him a little bit of this and then comes out. If he comes down on the back, then he's going to want to give it or pull it out. But this time he comes down initially and then jumps out at the quarterback, and he confuses Kaiser.
Kaiser, a screen, threw it too high. It was off the hands of Torrey Hunter Jr. He's lucky that was just an incompletion, and it's 3rd and 13.
Very fortunate. There was a lot of traffic in there anyway. Even if he was able to put this ball on the money, there was really nowhere to go. This Tigers defense right now, Chris, is just swarming. They have their ears pinned, and they are coming after the line of scrimmage and coming after this quarterback.
This is a lot to handle in your first road start. Tigers show some pressure. Kaiser rolls away from it and delivers incomplete. As a flag down, it was Alize Jones, the talented freshman tight end from Vegas, the intended receiver, and Jadar Johnson was in coverage.
Boy, Johnson's got to be thinking.
Pass interference, defense, number 18. Spot foul, automatic first down.
You know, he just makes a mental mistake here, and he's frustrated, but he definitely got early to the receiver. I mean, he's in there way too early, and that's inexperience. He's got to try to get his body and around the intended target there, Jones, and try to use his hand to swat at it, but he can't run over top of him.
He's the guy that made the pick to seal that three-point win at Louisville. But the penalty moves the ball inside the 30. Procise. This is a guy that's averaging 150. Notre Dame's had 5 straight games of 200+ yards rushing, and they're just trying to get out of the red here in the running game.
The problem you have again is they're going to make Brent Venables, the defense coordinator from Clemson. It's pretty easy what his plan is. They put 8 men at the line of scrimmage right now against just 7 blockers, so they have an extra man, and they're basically telling Brian Kelly, your quarterback and your receivers are going to have to beat us, and until they do, we're going to continue to stack the line of scrimmage.
Kaiser on the move, takes his first downfield shot and throws it over the head of Chris Brown.
I think Clemson feels very good about the matchups on the perimeter, and we've got some great matchups. Tankersley, who was tested there, and he's been tested all year against Chris Brown, but the real matchup is Will Fuller, number 7, against Mackenzie Alexander. You're talking about 2 guys that have bright futures, and Alexander is following him at this point all over the field, whether he's on the left or the right, to the field or to the boundary. Now they're at the bottom of the screen on 3rd down.
Yeah, he's a brash shutdown corner. Teams rarely test him. We'll see how that matchup unfolds tonight. Tigers show some pressure up the middle. Irish pick it up, and Kaiser delivers. Incomplete. Delivered a hard shot that Brown couldn't gather on a wet night. It's going to be tough on these receivers.
It sure is, and I couldn't tell if Ben Boulware, who is rushing, number 10, got a hand on this football right there. No, he did not. Ball's coming in just fast, hot, and it was tough for Carlisle to be able to secure that. It would have been a first down if he came up with it. You know, he was a pitcher. What did he throw, 94, 95 in high school?
Sometimes a change-up's better, right?
Yeah.
Justin Yoon, who's a true freshman kicker from Nashville. He's 4 for 6 on the young season. This from 46 yards. And he shows why he's one of the top kickers in the country. Good Nashville product. Booms it through. Irish on the board, still down 11. The Irish come away with a field goal. This is Justin Yoon on a wet track.
Into the wind.
Yeah.
Into the wind, tough conditions, freshman. Team's down 14 on the road. You need points. Drills it.
This is a ritual that Scott Daly, number 61, the long snapper, and the holder have after every made kick. Yoon, born to parents of Korean descent in Ohio, then moved down to Nashville.
And not only, Chris, is it points, but it kind of just slows things down a little bit for Notre Dame, just to get points on the board.
This is Scott, a yard deep. They fake the handoff, and Scott has a little room. Chased down from behind at the 29-yard line by Nick Coleman. Well, this week on ESPN Monday Night Football, up to the Pacific Northwest, Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. It's Matthew Stafford. He's got to be a little bit sore about the way Uga went down hard at home at Alabama today. The Detroit Lions, desperate for their first win. He's got more in his mind than just Georgia's struggles.
Well, I think we have a new rule in the SEC. Alabama is no longer allowed to be an underdog. They seem to take that too personally. They come out swinging.
Well, the streak was 72 in a row, right? So making another 72 before somebody doubts him. This is Watson on the keeper. And he's knocked down on the far side there by Elijah Shoemate, the senior safety.
Well, he's off to just a great start. And you know, we asked him in our meeting about the knee. I mean, he had ACL, and he played through it in the South Carolina game, had surgery December 12th. Kids today, whether it's college or the NFL, you see him come back 8, 9, 10 months. He's right around that 10-month mark, and tonight's the first time he's really turning it loose since then.
Gallman, a short gain. Now, Watson didn't play in the bowl game, the win over Oklahoma. Didn't do a whole lot in spring ball. Was able to throw in the summer, Kirk, but he used all that time to study tape like an animal and improve his knowledge.
He's really a student of the game. It's just a passion of his. It mentioned the high school background of running a very similar as offense. His high school coach came and visited Chad Morris, took it back to high school, and he ran it. Same terminology. So when he came in as a freshman, he really had an understanding of what they were trying to do, but he continues to take it to the next level with film study and understanding of coverage.
It's a third and medium for the Tigers, and that one is just tossed away. Scott not quite on the same page as the quarterback, so Tigers forced to punt for the first time. And the Irish getting a foothold now.
Yeah. Again, they come up with a field goal. They get a stop. It's a different energy right now in this stadium, and now it becomes a little bit more of a level playing field. And now you try to go out and you get back to your game plan, and you go out and try to execute.
Junior punter Andy Teasdall. I wonder if they'll try to keep it away from C.J. Sanders. Already he's had the big return. You mentioned what a dangerous weapon he can be. Sanders, the freshman from California. This time he makes a fair catch as he backpedals and collects it just inside the 20-yard line. 47 yards on the punt. And now the Irish back to work. Mike Sanford is the offensive coordinator, working actually the quarterback coach. He's got the OC title. Brian Kelly's still calling the play.
Yeah, but an up-and-coming assistant coach, and of course he was at Stanford as passing game coordinator out with David Shaw. He went over to Boise State the last couple years. He ran the offense at Boise, and Brian Kelly recognized his qualities as a coach and a great recruiter and brought him over here. And he has really helped Kaiser with being thrown into action in his development.
There's a first down attempt. Kaiser over the middle. Catch made. That's Corey Robinson, receiver who just has been dealing with a knee problem but is finally full go this week.
You love to see the patience, and I love the call by Brian Kelly. Here's the eyes. You don't want to stare down and telegraph the throw, but he shows patience here for him to get into that throwing window to give himself a chance. He had to clear Ben Boulware, the linebacker, and once he did, he shows you this guy can throw the football when he has time to throw it.
Kaiser changing the play here as Death Valley gets louder. It's Hunter in motion. Brosice. They are all over number 20 tonight.
This might be one of those nights where you see Brian Kelly, and he's learning. He's talking to Mike Sanford. He's watching everything. He's getting feedback. Might be one of those nights because of the way Clemson is choosing to defend them, where you're going to have to throw on 1st and 10 more to set up. Then you go back to Brosice. Right now on 1st and 10, they're facing an 8-9-man front. They're anticipating run, throw the way they did on the previous play to then set Brosice up later.
He's carried it 5 times, -5 yards. Now the Tigers showing pressure off the edge. Kaiser has to dodge, does get away, and has plenty of room. Kaiser down to the 40-yard line. Finally, the tackle is made. With DJ Goodson whiffed though.
High risk, high reward when you're aggressive. Now he can actually run this right here with Brosice. See the lineman downfield or throw it out here. He couldn't do either. So what does he do? He runs it himself. That was a play to either hand it to Brosice, throw it out, one of these run pass options. He couldn't do either. So the idea is, hey, there's a hole there. Brosice can't take it. I'll take it myself. There's nobody left in the middle.
TJ Green trying to fight off the jukes by the quarterback, was able to make a tackle, or Kaiser might have kept running. Play clock at 5, and now they'll spend a timeout.
Chris, if they end up scoring on this drive, that play that he just made, that is a great example of his composure for a young guy that's never been in this setting. Instead of just giving up on the play or just kind of taking a knee or just digging in for a yard or two, he's trying to pick up big yards there. That was nice.
Now, this is the first visit by the Irish here since 1977. This was a team loaded with NFL talent. The Tigers had the lead late. They're still haunted by the fact that they let this game get away. Vegas Ferguson made a big catch, and then Montana had a couple of very short touchdown runs in the fourth quarter as the Irish came from behind. That was Dan Devine's eventual national championship team that beat the Longhorns in the Cotton Bowl.
Unbelievable to think that Dwight Clark is on the other side.
Yeah.
Dwight Clark's on the Clemson team, and of course everybody
Didn't
knows.
They do something together later? Yeah,
there it is. Yeah, we're 4 or 5 years later, we're best friends. We're going to find you in the back of the end zone on the catch.
Joe got him that day, but of course they hooked up famously. And first down again, Clemson showing pressure. Geiser keeps it. This time they're all over the quarterback, and they stop him for no gain.
There it is, 1st and 10. You're not only facing guys in the box, Chris. Those linebackers, Boulware and Goodson, they're up shooting gaps. I mean, they're making it tough on the offensive line. And even on a zone read, there's just nowhere to go. And a really good job by Lawson. They're collapsing down on the play. There's nowhere to run.
Jack Lawson's a local guy, lost 10 pounds, slimmed down a little bit this year to get even quicker, but he's still very, very strong against the run. You see him at the bottom of the defensive line there, standing up. Procise stopped again in the backfield. He's got nowhere to run. There's your guy Boulware, joined by the safety Green.
Let's watch. Let's just freeze it here at the top and look at what he's facing. He's going to get a safety come down. You got linebackers coming down. You have defensive ends standing on the end. Try to be an offensive lineman and deal with all that. And they're just attacking downhill, not respecting anything downfield. And Notre Dame's got to be able to capitalize on that kind of approach from Clemson on the early downs.
And Kirk, they haven't yet tried to target Will Fuller, who's being guarded by Mackenzie Alexander. Final minute of the quarter, the Irish need 11 on this 3rd down. Kaiser rolls and throws behind the receiver, and it's incomplete. It's Nick Weisher, the tight end, and Ryan Carter hammered him. Not a very precise throw, 4th down.
No, thrown behind him. Weisher has to adjust back to try to make a play on it. Could have been able to catch it, but still would have been well short of the 1st down, and at the same time it might have given Brian Kelly something to think about, the possibility of maybe going for it, but Weisher could not hold on to that football.
Not quite in field goal range for Yoon, so Newsom is on the punt, trying to improve in his first effort. Just drops the point, kicks it high and short, and the Irish coverage team will down it at the 3. All of ESPN's college football action, you can take it on the go. The Watch ESPN app streams every game live. Download the app or go to watchespn.com. Just darn near essential. You could use it on a busy Saturday night. We'll keep you posted on all the developments around the country. We bring you our game here.
I say it every week. If you don't have the app, and I'm not trying to sell anything, I'm just telling you because I use it, it's high def. I mean, you've got to download that app, and if you're on the road, you got to do something. You can stay plugged into your game.
Kelly is usually pretty calm with Kaiser. We've seen him be anything but calm with his quarterbacks in the past, but there's some confusion. Watson looked like he wanted to hand it off. Gallman wasn't ready to take the ball, but they still get 6 yards.
Well, there was confusion, but he didn't give up on the play. He takes a turn to the right. Gallman goes to the left, and he says, I'm not going to get the ball in there. I'm just going to follow him. He ends up picking up 5 yards.
You don't want confusion with a wet football down there inside your 10-yard line.
Backed up to your own goal line.
Nursing on a lead in the final seconds of the first quarter. So Clemson scored quickly, led 14-0. The Irish tack on a field goal. Back after this message and a word from your local ABC station. Start of the second quarter on Saturday Night Football on ABC, presented by Wells Fargo. Tigers switch around. Still backed up at the 10-yard line. Wins at their back now. And the handoff work in the middle. And this is why Gallman is loved by the offensive lineman. He just doesn't quit. Heather Cox, as the weather changed down there, give us an update on the wind and the rain.
What I can tell you is the rain has remained steady. It is expected to rain a good 2 to 3 inches throughout this game and get worse in the second half. But Chris, what has changed is the wind has certainly picked up. It's gusting about 10 to 15 miles an hour, and it's expected to gust up to 25 miles an hour at times. So that could definitely play a role. As to the field, it's in beautiful condition. A multi-million-dollar drainage system installed a few years ago before their last, or excuse me, since their last rain game, and it's holding up great.
Coming around the edge is Scott, and he's got about 9 yards. It's amazing they haven't had a rainy game here since 2009.
It really is. It's one way to test that field out, that multi-million-dollar system that they have to try to keep this field dry, at least give them some traction, a chance to be able to make some plays. I'll tell you, Artavius Scott has some live legs tonight for this Clemson offense.
Pistol formation. Watson gives it to Gallman. It's another first down run as he's wrestled down hard there by Max Redfield, but they moved the chains again.
I've been really impressed with how Jeff Scott and Tony Elliott, the co-offensive coordinators, have decided to come into this game running the football, because if you look at the two sides, Notre Dame's defensive line and their two linebackers, Schmidt and Smith, and you look at the offensive line, you see a big advantage for Notre Dame. But here in this first half, boy, they have been able to control and neutralize Sheldon Day, and they're finding some room to run.
Watson looking for room to run. Now he'll backpedal and just lob it out of bounds. Yeah, Chad Morris, who was given a lot of credit justifiably for running this offense, took off for SMU to become the head coach. Scott and Tony Elliott, two former Clemson playmakers, now sharing the play calling duties. Scott told us that Elliott is sort of the overall play caller, does a lot of the run calls, and Scott does the pass plays. It's an interesting arrangement.
It is, and I always get concerned when you hear co-coordinator, because you really want to know who's calling the shots, who's the guy that's trying to take control of this, not to mention fill the shoes of Chad Morris.
Empty backfield, and it was a design run all the way, but big Sheldon Day wouldn't let the quarterback get away. 3rd and long now.
And they're bringing a lot of linebacker pressure. That's one of the things that they came in feeling that they had to do, and it's kind of a staple of Brian Van Gorder, is try to turn Joe Schmidt loose, who this time they bring him up from the top, and also to let Jalen Smith kind of clean it up. One thing I'm seeing is Jalen Smith is starting to spy Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson came into this game not running a lot. This game he has been running, so they put their best athlete, number 9, on him.
Yeah, exactly. If there's one guy who can spy him, it is number 9. Hand it back off inside. Breaking free, Brooks. And that's a nice run. A little used playmaker for the Tigers, but on 3rd and long, they get close to the marker. It's going to be 4th down, though, so let's see if old Dabo's in a gambling mood up 11.
Well, that's a good job of picking up some positive yards there. Joe Schmidt was picked up by a nice block, and Max Redfield, who's been playing with a broken thumb, he broke his thumb against Texas. He's had a cast for 3 weeks. They've held him out some because he hadn't been able to make a lot of tackles with that cast. He came up and just kind of whiffed on Brooks. They were lucky that ended up being a first down.
Stop him about a yard short. And so Teasdale's in to punt. It's a good one with the wind at his back. A little bounce and roll dead at about the 10-yard line. Now, I thought it was touched at the 10. They're going to spot it at the 5. So poor field position on a rainy night for Kaiser.
Cassidy Hubbard here. Let's take a look at who's getting it done, presented by Wells Fargo. You knew Leonard Fournette was going to get it done versus the worst rushing D in the country, going 75 yards for his second TD of the game. LSU, though, not running away with this exactly. 27-14 over on ESPNU.
Cassidy, thanks. Well, Fournette, one of the few backs country who got off to a better start than C.J. Process for Notre Dame, but he has gained -5 on 6 carries. He has 1 of his 6 carries actually gained yardage. He's got it again, and that's the run of the night so far for Notre Dame.
And the reason is, we've talked about 1st and 10. What Clemson's defense has done tonight is they're crowding the line of scrimmage, and they're shooting gaps with linebackers and safeties, and they're winning that battle. They're willing to take chances against a young quarterback because they assume the pro size is going to get the ball on early downs. They're leaving their defensive backs isolated one-on-one. I think the guy we have not called yet, and I'm sure Notre Dame fans at home are saying, where is Will Fuller? Whether it's a quick screen or something. Number 7's got to get his hands on the ball.
Kaiser nowhere to go on 2nd and 5. Travis Blanks came around the edge. Yeah, Fuller with 22 catches coming in. There's an injury for that Clemson defense. It's Austin Bryant, a true freshman backup defensive end, being helped to the trainers table.
We can talk all we want about what's wrong with Notre Dame's offensive line. Why aren't they giving Pro-Size room? But again, it's the scheme, and right now it's the way they've crowded it and taken advantage of that athletic ability.
Venables bring some heat right now?
No, I don't think he will.
Now you're right. They only rush 4. Kaiser has some time and completes it on the far side there. Torrey Hunter Jr. spins across the 30. So that time, with plenty of time, Kaiser makes a good throw.
Well, he motions him over, and he has soft coverage on 3rd down. That's one of the few times we've seen soft coverage, and it's a mismatch with Boulware trying to stay with Hunter. He locks in, he finds him, and again, when he has time to throw and he sets his feet, he's going to put the ball on the money. Let's see if they go play action here and give Fuller a chance.
Number 16 got 16 yards. Instead, they handed to Pro-Size. This time does get around the edge. A hard knock by Boulware on the running back.
Big hits, a lot of...
You like number 10, don't you?
I do.
I do. Jacked up linebacker.
Well, again, think about what they lost last year, and look how he fills. I mean, he's coming around. He's got tremendous speed. He just throws his left shoulder right in to the headgear there of the shoulder of C.J. Pro-Size. And it's okay that he hits him with that shoulder pad.
He gave a lot of Sooners some hard hits in that bowl game. He really emerged stepping in there. It's a defense missing Stephon Anthony at linebacker and Vic Beasley and Grady Jarrett up front.
They lost 7 of their top 10 defensive linemen. This is a completely new defense with the exception of just a handful of guys.
Got to hurry. Did Kaiser not spot the play clock? Here comes a flag. It was Kelly.
Play a game.
Didn't get the timeout.
5-yard penalty.
It's going to happen, Kirk. Yep. Young quarterback.
Oh, sure. And again, Brian Kelly understood coming in that that's part of it. That's why he's trying to do the best he can of getting the play in as fast as he can to give him some time to work with, because he has options once he gets the call. He has to look at the defense. He has to make calls, so he needs time to be able to make those decisions.
Once again, the Irish behind the chains here. 2nd and 12. And another
mistake, right tackle.
False start. Offense. Number 68. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
It's Mike McGlinchey, the junior tackle from Philadelphia.
Watch the center's head. He puts it down and back up. And these tackles have not dealt with this kind of crowd. Stanley on the left is a veteran. He's been in this kind of atmosphere. McGlinchey has never been in this kind of atmosphere. He's out in the end there. They're working with silent counts, and it's more of a rhythmic thing. Not to mention he's worried about that defensive end lined up across from him.
Got to hurry again, Kirk. 2 in the play clock. Does he see it? And there's another flag. A 3rd straight penalty for this Irish offense going backwards. Gotta go, says Brian.
Well, Brian Kelly can call a timeout from the sideline. You know, at some point you have a delay of game, and then you have a lineman move, and then you have another delay of game. You might want to just jump in and call a timeout to help him out. He's kind of saying, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
We're going. He's going backwards. 2nd and 22. Some confusion on the Clemson defense. They're not really set at the snap. It's a screen in the middle here. Pro-Size runs into heavy traffic again. Carlos Watkins stopped him. It'll be 3rd and very long.
You deal with 3 straight penalties like that. They're getting backed up. They're going in the wrong direction, and you're Clemson. And you got a young quarterback. You're thinking draw or a screen or something simple, and that didn't fool anybody. They were ready for it. Let's see him saying, let's go. Run it, run it, run it.
3rd and 17, a rush 4. Kaiser has protection, delivers a throw off the hands of Fuller. To the top receiver, went up, but could not collect the wet ball at midfield. First time they've even looked his way.
Well, they clear out the middle linebacker, and it opens up perfectly. He needed a lot of time for that play to open up, but Boulware, the middle linebacker, is cleared out. Huge opening in the middle of that defense, and their best receiver, Fuller, just cannot hold on to that football.
He's the guy that made that touchdown catch with 12 seconds to go. That heave from Kaiser when they were in the wrong protection. He just threw it up anyway. But that was a costly drop. And now a fumble on the punt. Scott was backpedaling. It bounced off his chest. And it looks like the Tigers retained possession there, so they dodged trouble. That's Brooks on the recovery there. That could have been a momentum-changing play, but Clemson keeps it.
Saturday Night Football presented by Wells Fargo. Brought to you by Michelin, a better way forward. And Buick, proud partner of the NCAA.
14-3 Clemson, our Dr. Pepper Championship Drive game of the week. Ever go camping in the rain?
No.
A lot of it, you never have?
No, never.
I never have across from a stadium. Can you see anything?
I don't know. Hopefully you have the app. If you have the app, you're good.
It's been a lot to see for Clemson fans so far. We go back to work here, and a first down throw. Watson again high. It's just tough on receivers. That's a nice soft throw. Really should have been caught there by Deion Kane, who's a very hyped true freshman receiver.
Yeah, and you're not going to find a quarterback that throws a more catchable ball than Deshaun Watson. He puts that ball right there. And Kane's a true freshman. By the way, Kane, they feel with Mike Williams out for the year, they feel that Deion Kane at 6'2", 200 pounds as a true freshman needs to emerge to become one of their vertical threats downfield. Number 8.
He's out of Tampa. Watson shows a little juke and a spin. Picks up about 3. It'll be third down.
He came into this football game, as we talked about, just not turning it loose with his legs, not needing to in their first couple games, and doing it a little bit the Thursday night that they played Louisville. But tonight it's been a very different look, and we kind of anticipated it. He already has 6 carries on the night.
Yeah, for 50 yards.
Yeah.
Irish show pressure up the middle. Schmidt chases down the quarterback, who flips a screen in heavy traffic. Gallman was there, but so were a bunch of Irish defenders as Day was involved quickly.
Well, Gallman is going to try to work here to get out, but here comes the blitz, and nobody picks him up. They just shoot him right through the A-gap. He's trying to get the ball out there, and obviously when you blitz the linebacker, that's who would have Gallman man-to-man.
That's the ultimate Herbie, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Joe.
But if he would have dumped that out there, if he had just enough time, if Gallman would have been able to get out there clean, there's nobody left. They risky defense. They brought the pressure, and it works out.
Joe Schmidt told us he loves to play in the rain. Never got a chance to in Orange County in California. This is his kind of night. And he forces the incompletion and the punt. And the Irish, again, will just let it roll dead back inside the 15. So midway second quarter, Clemson still protecting that 11-point lead. 52 yards in the punt. Aggies off to a good start. Kyle Allen, part of that same Elite 11 quarterback class as both of these quarterbacks here tonight. Kaiser, good protection, and delivers again high and off the hands of the receiver there. That was Chris Brown. A number of drops for Notre Dame tonight. Heather. Oh, excuse me. Let's go to Chris.
The big fella.
Yeah.
The big fella. What does he have for us here?
And now it's time for tonight's Athletic Trivia question. Notre Dame has had 7 Heisman Trophy winners in their history. Clemson, none. Which 2 Clemson players have the highest Heisman Trophy finish? 2 guys have finished 6th.
There's a completion to Torrey Hunter Jr. We'll ponder that as the Irish do move the chains here and get out of danger.
3 receivers working from the left to the right. He picks the right one in the middle that was able to get a little bit of separation and put the ball right where it needed to be.
See if they can get Bosas going. Nope. Flags come flying as Kevin Dodd, the other bookend opposite Lawson, invades the backfield. This is the defense that was #1 in the country tackles for loss last year.
Offense number 56. That penalty's declined. Second down.
Boy, Kirk, that group was manhandling Texas and Georgia Tech. It's a totally different story for the O-line tonight.
Oh, yeah. I mean, not only is it a different story as far as being on the road, you don't have Malik Zaire, who's a dual threat guy. You got a young quarterback on the road, and right now this defense is assuming run on 1st and 10. It makes it tough on them up front.
And they lose 7 on first down, and now Kaiser delivers a strike, and a catch is made. Finally, they involve Will Fuller for the first time, added to 40, so makes it 3rd and manageable.
By far the cleanest uniform on the field until that play right there. He finally gets involved. He missed one on the last series. How about Kaiser hanging in the pocket just long enough to get that football out? He was a little bit late on the throw, and he finally finds Fuller to give him a chance here, at least on 3rd down.
With the second pass completed this season against the corner, Mackenzie Alexander. Flags again. Clemson was crowding the line.
Ball start. Offense. Number 68. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
And as McGlinchey is second time, they are really struggling up front.
You got to remember, if you're at home watching this, you've been working all week on a silent count, and all of a sudden you can't hear. You're worried about this guy going around you, and all of a sudden he does this, and you start to flinch, and you get called for it. It's because of the atmosphere. Give the crowd an assist there.
Big difference between 3rd and 3, 3rd and 8. Kaiser gets away. Here's another flag. They're going to get a hold in the backfield. Can the quarterback escape? He does get first down yardage, but this is going to come back. As Clemson's guys are whipping them up front, and the Irish getting rattled and confused.
That was a great matchup because it was Ronnie Stanley against Shaq Lawson, and Shaq Lawson won the battle.
Offense number 56. 10-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Boy, Lawson's been a beast tonight. He's got 3.5 tackles for loss already.
Chris, watch Shaq Lawson at the top on this spin move. Spin move right there. 2 offensive linemen. They both had to hold him.
Great tackle.
Great form. Look at that. Stanley, you're talking about Ronnie Stanley's maybe the best left tackle in college football. Shaq Lawson with a spin move goes right by him.
He threw the flag, but he was hot. Shaq wanted the sack. 3rd down. And long again, and Procise cannot escape. Wrestled down again by the 6'5" safety, Jayon Curse, so it's 4th down.
Yeah, rush 3, drop 8. Great thing about that is even if they run, you have eyes on the football. They rally to the ball. And Brian Kelly there is just saying, you know what? We're gonna punt the football, play field position with 4:30 to go, see if the defense can get a stop, and see if we can get one more chance with better field position.
We have to have a conversation with those big O linemen over there. Kelly did it before when last time they came off the field. This may be even more intense. There's a punt, bounced around down there. Looked like it touched somebody. They didn't pick it up that way, and the Irish are going to down the ball at the 8-yard line.
Yeah, he wants to know if it touched his gunner Farley, who was down, the safety, or if it may have hit the Clemson player who was blocking him. I think that's
35-yard punt. It hit somebody.
I thought Farley kicked it, the safety, Matthias Farley.
And Dabo wants an explanation.
41, see if he kicks it.
They're going to spot it. Yeah, they're going to spot the ball back at the 27.
Yeah, Mark Fields never even came close to the football.
So Clemson with 4:06 and a half goes back on offense. Yeah, Brian Kelly wanted an explanation. It was pretty simple. Matthias Farley, the nickelback who was down there covering the punt, it hit his leg, and so the ball was spotted at the 29. Tigers trying to add to a lead before the break. Wayne Gallman, the running back, has not really gotten loose tonight. He's run it 7 times for 23 yards. They give it to him for an 8th time in the heavy traffic. Jerry Tillery, one of the talented freshman defensive linemen for the Irish, on the tackle.
Well, I think Notre Dame's defense has kind of settled into the game. This game started so fast with Watson making plays, and he was running, he was throwing, and before you know it, they've got their first 2 possessions, 14 points on the board, and since then you can see that Notre Dame has settled in, made some adjustments, and they're creating their own pressure for this Clemson offensive line, similar to what their line's dealing with.
Jet sweep motion. Scott jukes his way to the 35. It'll be 3rd and 4. He's an electric guy with the ball in his hands.
Chris Brian Van Gorder, the defensive coordinator from Notre Dame, is now in his 2nd year. One of the great minds in college. He's been up in the NFL. He's come back to work with Notre Dame. And he's got great looks on the sideline, but second year in his system. I think it's allowed his defense to understand him, and they allowed him to play much faster this year in this second year.
Let's see if Van Gorder's defense can get Watson off the field. A third down throw was dangerous into traffic. Redfield was closing in. Watson knocked down by Day after the throw, and it's fourth down.
Well, I think he got away with one there. Redfield was actually reading the receivers. His eyes were on the receiver and not on the quarterback. And if his eyes were on the quarterback, he would have been able to see that he had a chance to make the interception. There's Sheldon Day finally making an impact. Doesn't have to get the sack, but get into the face of Watson. You can see the eyes of Redfield 10. He didn't even realize the ball was thrown in his direction. If he would have, he had a shot at an interception.
So Van Gorder's defense, another positive series, another punt from Teasdall, and a fair catch. Juggled, but recovered by C.J. Sanders. Bear, we've been so busy up here. I don't know if you've even thought about your trivia question.
Let me see it, Bear. What do you got again?
And now it's time to answer tonight's Aflac trivia question. We told you Notre Dame has had 7 Heisman Trophy winners. Clemson, none. 2 guys finished 6th is the highest. Who were they? The answer, 1978, Steve Fuller. 2009, C.J. Spiller.
Yeah, I should have gotten C.J. Spiller.
But 6th is the highest ever for Clemson.
Maybe Deshaun Watson can, before he's done, can.
Fuller, of course, the quarterback in that game that Montana won with his late heroics here in '77. So the Irish, 2:46 to work with, a couple of timeouts. Kaiser. And lots of time now, backpedals, throws it across the middle, a completion, and then a hard hit after an 8-yard gain. Jayon Curse delivered this shot there in Carlisle.
I just cannot get over this presence that Kaiser has. And we got an offensive lineman that was down. At least he is up. Now, watch Kaiser here. I mean, this is incredible. I mean, he's waiting and waiting and waiting, and then just buys enough time here to be able to eventually find his man. He's got some open receivers. He's just having a hard time locating them. He's been very fortunate. His offensive line has been able to hold up there.
Quentin Nelson, the guard, the sophomore, is the offensive lineman down. Boy, the last thing Notre Dame fans want to see is another starter. And they've had, what, 6 of them go down to injury, so they'll examine that. Boy, Notre Dame came in here to a hostile environment, an inexperienced quarterback in this situation. Deshaun Watson, Kirk, was just razor sharp the first 2 drives, found themselves in a 14-0 hole. And we thought, uh-oh, look out. Now what is Kelly going to do to get back in the game? They got the 3, but it's been the Irish defense that's impressed me since.
Without a doubt. I think both defenses, and it's a combination of maybe the conditions and not necessarily, especially in Notre Dame's or Clemson's defense, not necessarily fearing the pass game, so it's allowed them to be ultra aggressive, and they're going to stay that way until Kaiser eventually makes them pay for that. But yeah, you're right. Notre Dame had a chance there for a second. They're down 14. The crowd's in the game, and it's looking a little scary. They got the field goal kind of settled down, and from that point on, Brian Van Gorder's bunch has definitely kept them in this game. But Kaiser's going to have to make some plays along with Pro Size.
On a windy night with a wet field position's been important, and the Irish have had terrible field position the last 4 possessions, so they had to be a little bit careful. They'll get the ball to begin the second half, and we'll see if C.J. Pro Size can finally get loose. It'd be hard to imagine Notre Dame coming out of here with a win if he doesn't do something.
Well, as I said, for him to be able to start to become effective, they're going to have to get the passing game going to open some running lanes.
And around the end is Hunter. He takes a hit, but he makes a first down. 2 minutes to go in the half.
And at the same time, you know Brian Kelly, the one thing about him, and he even said to us this week, we've got to be patient. We've got to be patient on the road with our play calling. It's a 4-quarter game. It's a 60-minute game. We're going to stick to our game plan.
Kaiser tried to get it to Fuller, and Mackenzie Alexander was all over him and gives him a little wag of the finger. That's part of his game, and not necessarily something that everybody loves about it.
No, but it kind of fires him up, and he also likes to try to get in the head of the guy he's going up against, and he's going up against Will Fuller. This is the matchup, and he's kept Fuller quiet tonight so far.
Almost intercepted across the middle of Boulware, had his hands on it as Kaiser didn't spy him.
Well, Boulware has had some chances, and I think he's learning as the game goes on. Watch the eyes of the quarterback. He does a good job of looking off, and then once he locates his tight end, Wisher, who he wants to go to, I don't think he ever saw Boulware just waiting there and kind of waiting for that throw. He was fortunate he got away with one there.
This is what Kelly was fearing. Another 3rd and long against this Tiger defense. Boulware shows pressure up the middle. They pick him up. Kaiser, another high throw over the head of Fuller. A flag coming down.
Chris, I think Boulware was in the neutral zone. I think he may have had a free play there.
Offsides. Defense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
For once, the Irish offensive line didn't flinch, and that'll give a 3rd and more manageable look now. The Irish have struggled on 3rd down at Virginia on the road, 0 for 10. They were 4 for 11 against Georgia Tech, even though they were productive. It hasn't been a great 3rd down offense so far this year. We need 5.
With Fuller up here at the top.
Tigers again showing pressure. They bring a bunch of it. Kaiser has time, but a couple receivers in the pattern. Now a flag comes down in the secondary. And this is going to be against the Tigers.
Holding. Defense, number 11. 10-yard penalty. Automatic 1st down.
That's a great call. Amir Carlisle was actually about to break free from Travis Blanks. And he got fooled, and like most defenders, when they get fooled, they just kind of put their arm out and try to grab on, and he did. He locked on to Amir Carlisle. Great call right there by the officials, and the right call. But one thing I'm starting to see is Clemson's secondary moving after the snap and fooling Kaiser. He had a wide open Will Fuller that time because Mackenzie Alexander bailed, and he had a curl route for a 1st down, and he never even looked that way because he lined up the way he is right now in press and then bailed like he is now.
There's a 1st down throw, far side, way over the head of Fuller.
That's exactly this time. I don't know if somebody sent a message in. Mackenzie Alexander is showing press, and then as the ball is snapped, he's bailing, which means we have the underneath routes if we want them. He missed the last one on 3rd down. That time he came back to him and just missed the throw.
Get the thoughts of John Saunders, Mark May, and Mac Brown on this game. All the happenings on a busy Saturday. The BMW halftime report is coming up. Minute 29 till the break. Clemson had the Irish at 3rd and 10. 2 penalties gave them the 1st down. And they've now moved into Tiger territory.
Let's see if Alexander does it again up here. That's a great matchup. Does he bail?
Kaiser has the ball, goes downfield for Robinson, who makes close to making the catch in his hands. He was running against Tankersley, and the Admiral's son has been nursing a knee, could not collect it.
It would have been a great catch, but Chris, remember I talked about this, and also watch this down the middle of the field. This is part of being young and being a quarterback. They bring the blitz, and look right here how it breaks free, and look at this open man right there. These are things he already had locked in on Robinson. Robinson had a chance, but he had 2 wide open receivers he never saw.
That's a great point. He went to the 3rd easiest guy, right, in that route? 3rd and 10 across the middle. That's Hunter making a catch, but hit hard by Blanks, short of a 1st down. So 4th down. Ball spotted with the 44.
Brian Kelly, it's smart to just kind of work a little bit of clock here, getting under a minute. You talked about they deferred, so they get the ball to start the 2nd half.
Try to gamble here?
Yeah. I think well, depending on the countdown, he's going to take the clock all the way down here and then probably make that timeout and make a decision. In case he misses it, if he ends up going for it, he doesn't want to give Deshaun Watson much time to work with.
Kaiser 9 of 19. Receivers haven't exactly helped him out. He had a few clutch drops. ESPN after the Ducks and the Buffs in Boulder. SportsCenter will have you covered with a complete post-game wrap-up. There are some I saw this morning that think that the Buffaloes, who are not a very big underdog to Oregon, have a chance for a milestone landmark win.
That would be me. That would be me.
Capital One rankings here. You see Ohio State, boy, they had to fight off against a very feisty Indiana team. A lot of heart. 7-point win. UCLA now down 22-10.
Look at this. Look at the upset. Potential upset there. Ohio State fortunate to get out of there with a win. So it makes it, this is when you start to, you get into October, you start to figure some things out.
Week 5, Kirk, was got to beware week 5 for the upsets?
He sure did.
It's been a recent trend. Could continue. So the punt team out for the Irish. Clemson will take a timeout. You wouldn't figure they'd try to do too much.
No, but
Irish
good to
punted down there.
Yeah, you can see the intensity down there with Dabo Swinney. Just good to be safe. Go punt safe and be aware of that potential that might happen.
Dabo's got a pretty good record. You talk about Swinney against top 10 opponents when he's the lower ranked guy. 5-2. Won 4-0 when the games have been home or neutral. And he pointed out to us the other day, no player on this roster has ever lost a game to a team that finished the season ranked outside the top 10. So that's 7 losses the last 3 years, but none of those old quote-unquote Clemsoning losses that we used to talk about in the old days when they would lose to a team they should handle easily.
And then lose to Duke or NC State or some last 3 years, 35-7, some wins over LSU, Auburn, Georgia, Ohio State, Oklahoma.
So Newsom to punt into a wind, drops the point and kicks a short kick, but a nice roll. And so inside of 30 seconds, Clemson will have the ball at the 3-yard line. Well, tomorrow, NFL Insiders will get your day started, followed by the NFL Sunday Countdown, guys. 10 a.m. for the Insiders, 11 o'clock for Countdown. And it's Sunday on ESPN beginning at 10 and streaming live on the Watch ESPN app.
That Cincinnati Bengals ball club off to a pretty good start.
You say that every week, and they've won again. So they're undefeated. So are the Broncos.
The Red Rifle getting it done.
Indeed, Dalton. Dalton was excited watching Trevon Boykin and TCU drop the hammer on the Horns. They was 30-0 TCU at the end of the first quarter.
Never thought I'd ever see TCU or anybody up on Texas 30-0 in the first quarter.
So safety as Watson takes a knee. Boy, it's a fast start for the Tigers. Took the first possession of the end zone, got a 3-and-out, and we're quickly up 14-0. But the Irish defense rose up, and Clemson only outgained Notre Dame by a total of 15 yards in the first half. Irish would get the ball to begin the second half. The end of 30 minutes in Death Valley. The BMW halftime report, including Heather's interview with Dabo Swinney, coming up right after these messages.